consider for a moment a magical time when you bought a brand new video game console, it came with 2 controllers right out of the box. No need to buy an extra controller for the price of pretty much a brand new video game just to be able to play with your friends in the same room. Such a wonderful time actually did exist, going way back to the beginning of console video games. It was customary for new consoles to include 2 controllers. You're looking at the Odyssey, the Atari 2600, even Sega Master System and NES. If you bought that new console, you were getting 2 controllers right off the bat. This even continued into the next generation with the Super Nintendo. The original bundles of that included 2 controllers. However, by the end of this generation, there was a shift into simpler bundles with no games and just a single controller. And of course we would see this continue from then on, with consoles like the N64 and the GameCube only having 1. This trend would even seep downwards back into the previous generation, where later NES bundles, despite the fact that all throughout the console's life, it was standard for the NES to include 2 controllers, or even in the case of the sports set, a whole 4 controller bundle. But in 1993, 1994, when things were beginning to wrap up for the NES, a more toned down bundle was released. In fact, it's not really a bundle at all, because all this set included was the NES console, the required cords, and 1 single controller. This is the basic set, and looking at the sides of this box, you can really see just how late it was released. You even get a snapshot of Kirby's Adventure there, of course released in 1993, although it looks like a beta screenshot where instead of the health pellets, there's like 3 stars. That's pretty odd. But yeah, what you see is what you get. No Mario Duck Hunt, no Zapper, no second controller. It's just the bare bones to jump right into the NES. And of course it makes a lot of sense that in the end of the NES's days, they would release a cheaper option for those who just wanted to get into gaming at a cheaper price and perhaps work their way up from there into the more modern options. There was a whole library of NES games already available, so it would have been a perfect way to kind of wet your toes and get into gaming if you weren't already. But what doesn't make sense is when we look at the front of the box, there is a sticker at the bottom that says it includes a bonus second controller. So they went through all the effort of redesigning the control deck box because they had a perfectly fine box before for the NES that didn't include any game, any Zapper. It was just the control deck, the console, and 2 controllers. But they redesigned the whole box, called it the basic set, just so that they could stick a sticker on the front that says it includes an extra controller anyway. So what Nintendo was essentially doing here was making you think you were getting a better deal, like, oh, you know, it only includes 1 controller, but we'll throw an extra one in for you. Isn't Nintendo great? You're getting the best deal. When really, they were just lying to your faces and actually giving you the identical bundle that had been sold all throughout the NES's life. So yeah, opening this up, it's actually identical essentially to all the other more common control deck boxes out there because it's exactly the same contents. This is just such a silly, nothing burger release of the NES, and I for years did not even know that this existed because it was just such a brief blip at the end of the NES's life. This probably wasn't even sold for that long before they moved on to the top loader NES, which would similarly also only include 1 dog bone shaped controller. But at least then it's a little bit different. It's like, okay, I can understand their downsizing. But to redo the whole front loader control deck box to include 1 controller, but then to also include another controller in there anyway? Ugh. But I hope that you enjoyed today being introduced to this obscure NES bundle, or even not so much a bundle. You know, downgrade bundle, which is actually just the standard bundle. I don't even know. But let me know what you think about that in the comments down below, if you've ever heard about this before, and what you think about receiving only 1 controller bundled with your consoles today versus 2. And I hope to see you next time for something different. So thanks and take care, everyone.